Fantasy Football Cat here, and on this episode, I'm going to talk about the preseason. Preseason is that time of year when fantasy football players get excited because it's draft time for their league, and also the regular season isn't too far away. But you have to be careful not to pay too much attention to what's going on in preseason games and training camps, because all that can change once the regular season starts. So here's some rules that I follow to keep myself from getting burned by getting too excited about players in the preseason. Rule number 1. Ignore what happens in the games in the first 2 weeks of the preseason. The starters hardly play at all in these games, and when they do, there's no game planning whatsoever. Also, coaches aren't going to show anything in these 2 games. They're really just trying to decide who's going to be on the roster. Rule number 2. Pay attention to training camp reports instead of preseason games. You'll get a lot more information about what the team plans to do during the regular season from training camp reports than trying to watch a preseason game and get excited about a backup wide receiver who has a big game, but then probably will never play another snap the rest of the year. Rule 3 is an exception to Rules 1 and 2, and it has to do with the third week of the preseason. In that game, the entire first half is usually played by the team starters, and they run through some actual plays. So you do want to pay attention to this one game and this one game only, and see how the starters are used. After that, you can just forget about it. Ignore the fourth game of the preseason, just like you did with the first and second weeks of games in the preseason. The fourth rule has to do with injuries. If a veteran player gets injured during the preseason, don't let that keep you from drafting him for your team. There's a good chance it's a minor injury and he's just giving himself a rest before the regular season starts because he certainly doesn't need the reps. But if it's a rookie that's injured and he's not playing, then pay close attention to what the prognosis is for that injury. It may be that it's a serious one, and that's why the rookie's being held out, and therefore it could affect his play during the regular season, and also he's missing out on key reps. The final rule has to do with teams. Some teams show you their schemes in the preseason, and others hide everything. An example of this is Cam Newton on the Panthers in his rookie year. They didn't show any read option looks the entire preseason, and then unleashed it all in the first week of the regular season. The Patriots are also notorious for not showing anything until the regular season. So for this rule, you kind of have to pay attention over the years and get a feel for which teams and coaching staffs will reveal more during the preseason. Then you can know what's real and what's not when you're watching preseason games to try to get a feel for how that offense or defense is going to play that year. Too much catnip. Bye.